You did not click on this by mistake, and the feeling in your chest is not here by accident either. Something brought you to this moment because part of you is tired of guessing, tired of doubting, tired of asking the same question in silence. Does this person really love you, or have you been holding on to a feeling that only lives inside your own heart? Stay with me, because what you are about to hear may change the way you see this connection forever. There are moments in life when the mind gets loud, but the soul gets even clearer. This is one of those moments. Deep down, you have already felt the answer. You felt it in the way your energy changed around them. You felt it in the strange pull that logic could never fully explain. You felt it in the silence too, especially in the silence. And today, that quiet knowing is going to rise stronger than your fear. This is not just about romance. It is about recognition. It is about the kind of bond that reaches into the deepest parts of you and shakes loose everything false. If you have been searching for a sign, let this be one. If you have been asking for clarity, listen closely, because the truth is not far from you. It is already inside you, waiting for you to stop running from what your heart has known all along. I know there were nights when you almost convinced yourself that none of this was real. You told yourself maybe it was only longing, maybe only loneliness, maybe only a dream your heart created to survive an empty season. But every time you tried to explain it away, something stronger kept returning. A look, a memory, a sudden wave of warmth, a pull you could not shut off, no matter how hard you tried. That is because this connection did not begin in the mind. It began deeper than that. There are bonds that do not arrive with easy words or clear labels. They arrive like weather. They move through your body before your thoughts can name them. And when that happens, doubt often follows. Not because the love is false, but because the love is too powerful to fit inside old ideas. You may have noticed this person becoming quiet, distant, or harder to read. That silence may have hurt more than you want to admit. But silence does not always mean absence. Sometimes it means intensity. Sometimes it means a feeling has become so deep that ordinary words can no longer carry it. So before you assume the worst, hear this clearly. What you felt was not random. It was not childish. It was not something you made up to comfort yourself. There are real signs, steady signs, and deep signs that this bond means more than fear has allowed you to admit. And the more you listen, the more those signs will begin to make sense. One of the biggest reasons you have questioned this love is not because the bond is weak, but because your old wounds are still sensitive. When true love enters the life of someone who has known pain, the first reaction is not always joy. Sometimes it is alarm, sometimes it is panic, sometimes it is the sudden need to protect yourself before anything beautiful has the chance to fully bloom. That does not mean you are broken. It means your heart remembers what hurt it. When someone arrives with an energy that touches your soul so directly, your defenses wake up. The soul says, I know this person. The heart says, this matters. But the mind, trained by fear and disappointment, says, be careful. Do not trust this. Do not fall too fast. Do not open too wide. And so the battle begins. That is why you lay awake replaying every word, every silence, every change in tone. That is why you kept asking yourself if they felt the same, if you were imagining it, if you were somehow making too much of something small. But look at the pattern. Every time you tried to pull away, something pulled you back. Every time you decided to shut the door, something inside you would not let it stay closed. That is not weakness. That is not obsession. That is not a lack of self-control. It is the sign of a connection that continues to live beneath confusion. Keep listening, because this next truth matters. The doubt you feel is often not proof that love is missing. It is proof that love is touching places in you that have not fully healed yet. Real love does not always arrive in obvious ways. It does not always begin with grand confessions, perfect timing, or dramatic gestures that leave no room for uncertainty. Sometimes it starts in the smallest moments, a glance that lingers too long, a message that looks simple on the surface but carries extra weight underneath, a silence that feels fuller than speech, a strange calm when they are near, or a wave of emotion that rises when you think about them for no clear reason at all. These things matter, more than most people realize, because deep bonds often speak softly before they ever speak loudly. This person may not have shown their feelings in the clean, easy way your mind wanted. They may have looked away when the moment became too real. They may have grown distant when the connection became too strong. They may have acted unsure while feeling more than they knew how to handle. But that does not mean the feeling was not there. In fact, it can mean the opposite. Some people become quiet when their heart is loud. Some people step back, not because they feel nothing, but because they feel too much all at once. And if that has been the pattern here, then what you have called mixed signals may actually be the sign of an inner storm. Remember this, the person who seems most distant is not always the one who cares the least. Sometimes they are the one trying hardest to hold themselves together. If that line hit you deeply, stay with me, because the next part may explain why the connection has felt both beautiful and painful at the same time. The real struggle has never only been between you and them, it has also been between your fear and your deeper knowing. There are two voices inside you, and they do not speak the same language. One is loud, quick, restless and afraid. The other is calm, steady and quiet. The loud voice is shaped by pain, by old endings, by memories of being ignored, rejected or left behind. It wants proof every second. It wants control. It wants certainty before surrender. It tells you that if they do not speak now, then they do not care. If they pull back, then the story is over. If you cannot explain it clearly, then it must not be real. But the quieter voice feels different. It does not panic in the same way. Even in the middle of confusion, it carries a strange peace. Even while your thoughts race, it whispers that something deeper is still moving. That quiet voice is not fantasy. It is intuition. It is the part of you that knows truth before the world confirms it. And learning the difference between these two voices is one of the biggest lessons of this journey. Fear feels urgent. Intuition feels grounded. Fear drains you. Intuition steadies you. Fear wants you to chase, force, and demand. Intuition tells you to breathe, observe, and trust what is unfolding. So if part of you still feels calm beneath all the noise, do not ignore that. That calm is important. That calm may be the deepest proof that this bond is not built from illusion, but from something much more real than the mind knows how to measure. If your past has taught you to expect pain, then of course a deep connection will shake you. Of course your first instinct will be to prepare for loss before love has even had the chance to arrive fully. If you were betrayed before, your mind may place that old story on this new person. If you were abandoned before, your nervous system may read distance as danger the moment it appears. But notice what is really happening. You may think you are doubting their love, when in truth you are doubting your ability to survive a love this deep without being hurt again. That is why this bond feels like a lesson as much as a longing. It is not only here to make you feel chosen, it is here to make you heal. It is here to lift you beyond the old version of love, where you begged for little signs and settled for half-open hearts. It is here to teach you what it means to stand in your worth, even while the outcome is still unfolding. Every time fear rises, you are being given a chance, not a punishment, a chance to see the old wound, a chance to stop feeding it, a chance to answer panic with presence instead of panic with more panic. That is how healing begins. Not when life becomes simple, but when you remain steady inside complexity. And this connection keeps bringing you back to that point again and again, because it is asking more from you than ordinary attachment. It is asking you to become strong enough to receive the kind of love that no longer needs to be chased, begged for, or proven every second. And still, the question remains. If the bond is real, why do they seem so distant at times? Why does someone who feels so connected also seem to pull away? This is where many people get lost. So listen carefully. When two people awaken something deep in each other, the result is not always immediate closeness. Sometimes it is exposure. Sometimes it is emotional shock. Sometimes it is a mirror being held up so clearly that both people suddenly see all the places in themselves that still need healing. That can be beautiful, but it can also feel overwhelming. The person who pulls away is not always running from love. Often they are running from the intensity of what love is revealing inside them. They may fear not being enough. They may fear losing control. They may fear ruining something precious before they know how to hold it. So they step back, not because the feeling is absent, but because the feeling is too strong for the version of them that exists at that moment. And then the cycle begins. The more distance appears, the more the other person feels the urge to reach, fix, explain, or hold everything together. One runs, one chases, one hides, and both end up exhausted. But the deeper truth is this. The cycle only softens when someone chooses peace over panic, when someone stops feeding fear, when someone remembers that real alignment cannot be forced. This may be the part you most needed to hear today. Their silence may not be proof of indifference. It may be proof that your presence touched something in them they can no longer ignore, That is why one of the most powerful things you can do now is stop measuring this bond only by outer action. Outer action matters, yes, but it is not the whole story in a connection like this. There is also energy, there is presence, there is the strange way this person continues to live in your awareness even when no message appears. There is the way you suddenly think of them and then see signs that seem to echo them back to you. A song, a phrase, a dream, a time on the clock that keeps repeating. A feeling that arrives from nowhere and sits in your chest like a quiet signal. Most people dismiss these things because they cannot prove them in a practical way, but not everything meaningful arrives through logic first. Sometimes, life speaks through patterns. Sometimes the heart notices what the mind is too busy to respect. This does not mean you should lose yourself in fantasy. It means you should stop insulting your own intuition every time it notices something subtle. Love does not always knock like thunder. Sometimes it taps softly and waits to see if you are paying attention. Sometimes it moves through the quietest moments. Watch the way they look at you when they think you are not noticing. Watch how their energy changes around you. Watch the strange pull that keeps this bond alive, even when the outer world offers little explanation. Those are not things to worship, they are things to observe. And if you observe honestly, you may find that this connection has been speaking to you much more clearly than fear has allowed you to admit. There is also a reason dreams, inner nudges, and sudden emotional waves have felt so strong. When the surface mind grows quiet, deeper parts of connection become easier to feel. That is why some of the clearest moments happen at night, in stillness, or in the middle of ordinary days when you are not even trying to think about them. You may wake up feeling as if you were just with them. You may remember a dream that felt more real than a memory. You may feel their presence in a way that makes no sense, and later learn they were thinking of you, speaking of you, or moving through something intense at that same time. Call it resonance, call it emotional echo, call it what you want. But do not rush to call it nothing. Souls do not always need physical closeness to recognize each other. Energy does not obey the same limits as distance. And if this sounds too mystical, bring it back to something simple. Human beings feel more than they can explain. We always have. You have walked into rooms and sensed tension before a word was spoken. You have felt peace in certain places and heaviness in others. So why should deep love be any different? Why should it not also leave a trace, a signal, a living imprint that continues to move between two people? The important thing is not to become obsessed with every sign. The important thing is to stop mocking your own experience. Stay grounded, stay clear, but also stay open, because sometimes the quiet confirmations are the very things that keep your heart steady while the visible story is still catching up. Now comes the part that changes everything. The bond becomes healthier the moment you stop making your peace depend on their next move. Read that again in your heart. Not because you stop caring, not because the love becomes smaller, but because love grows stronger when it is no longer mixed with fear, grasping, and the need to control. The connection begins to breathe when you let it breathe. As long as your energy says, I need this person now, or I will fall apart, the bond stays tangled in pressure. But when your energy becomes, I love deeply, I trust what is real, and I remain whole within myself, everything starts to shift. The pressure lifts, the fear weakens, the chasing energy fades, and in that space, something more natural can finally happen. This is not giving up, it is aligning. It is choosing yourself without closing your heart. It is saying, I do not need to force what belongs to me. I do not need to shrink to be loved. I do not need to run after what can feel me even in silence. That kind of inner change is powerful. It changes the quality of the connection itself. Because when you return to your own center, you stop pulling from panic and start shining from peace. And people feel that, especially people who are already deeply tied to you. So if you have been asking what to do next, this is the answer. Heal, breathe, come back to your own light. Let your nervous system learn that love does not need to feel like emergency. That may be the very thing that opens the next door. This time apart, this uncertainty, this strange in-between space, may actually be preparing both of you for something steadier than what could have happened earlier. Not every delay is denial. Not every pause is loss. Sometimes space is where strength is built. Sometimes two people must face themselves separately, so that if they come together, they do not build the bond from emptiness, dependency, or fear. They build it from truth. You are being asked to become full in your own spirit, not because the connection is fake, but because the connection is too important to be carried by old pain. And the same may be happening on their side, even if you cannot see it clearly. They may be facing their own shadows, their own fears of closeness, their own hidden ideas about worth, trust and surrender. They may be changing in ways they themselves do not yet understand. So do not assume that silence means stillness. A lot can happen in silence. A heart can soften in silence. A person can awaken in silence. A truth can grow roots in silence. This is why patience matters. Not passive waiting, sacred patience, the kind that keeps moving forward with life while still leaving room for what is real. The kind that says, I will not freeze my life, but I will also not lie to myself about what I feel. If this message is reaching you at the right time, take that as your cue. Something in you is ready to stop calling this love impossible and start seeing it as a process that may still be unfolding with more intelligence than your fear can understand. So here is the shift. Stop calling yourself foolish for feeling deeply. Stop acting as if your heart must apologize for recognizing something before your eyes could confirm it. Stop cutting yourself down. Every time the connection becomes hard to explain, you are not weak because you care. You are not naive because you still feel the thread. You are not lost because part of you refuses to reduce this bond to a simple, cold explanation. What matters now is how you hold it. Hold it with dignity. Hold it with calm. Hold it without losing yourself. Let this love refine you instead of consume you. Let it teach you better boundaries, deeper trust, stronger self-respect, and clearer inner vision. And if this person truly belongs in your path, then no distance, no confusion, and no temporary silence will be able to erase what is real. What is meant for you does not need panic to survive. It needs honesty. It needs timing. It needs healing. It needs two people who are brave enough to stop hiding from what their souls already know. So tonight, or tomorrow morning, or the next time doubt rises in your chest, do not rush to the old fear. Place your hand over your heart and return to this truth. What is real does not always arrive quickly, but it leaves traces. What is true does not always speak loudly, but it remains. And what is meant to grow will often pass through silence before it becomes strong enough to stand in the light. And maybe that is the message you are meant to receive today. Not only that this person loves you in ways deeper than your fear has allowed you to trust, but that your own heart is being trained to recognize love without collapsing under it. You are learning how to stand in a feeling this powerful without begging, without chasing, without turning every silence into a funeral. You are learning how to trust the deeper current beneath temporary confusion. That is a different kind of strength, a rare one. And if the bond is as real as your soul keeps whispering, then this chapter is not the end. It is preparation. It is the season where illusions burn away, where need becomes peace, where old pain is brought to the surface so it can finally leave your body for good. The next part of this story will not be built on fantasy. It will be built on truth, on clarity, on inner steadiness, on two people who have looked at their own fear and stopped letting it rule everything. So keep your heart open, but keep your center too. Let love be sacred, not frantic. Let longing become wisdom. Let silence teach you what noise never could. And if you needed one clear sentence to carry with you after this, let it be this. The connection is not asking you to chase it. It is asking you to trust it while becoming the strongest version of yourself. If that landed in your spirit, hold on to it, because sometimes the sign you asked for is not a message from them. Sometimes the sign is the peace that enters you after finally hearing the truth.